All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, so a couple of new people. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Brett. We introduced it. We already did.
Yeah, I already met everybody.
Oh, okay, so you haven't met Ryan?
Yeah.
All right, so basically, I know Kevin's going to be out of the office today for pretty much most of the day. He's got a whole bunch of estimates he's doing, a lot of paperwork and stuff like that. So I was just listening to him this morning, basically, what he's got going on. But it looks like we got a pretty busy day today anyway. I just want to briefly go over some of these things that are starting. I actually have been working real hard with the guys in the office getting these things going. Some of you guys have seen them, some of you haven't. This is the new email blast going through Service Titan. And there's several different email blasts that are going to be happening. And just so you guys are aware, it kind of gives us the ability to, anybody who we have an email for, we can email them pretty much for anything. So let's say, for an example, water heater flush, HPCs, if it's getting time to be for a tune-up, for the cold season is here, we're having tune-ups and stuff like that. We can basically blast out anything we want on these, and we have like 21 of them. So some of them are even for unsold estimates and things like that. So if they go out, or we go out and we give an estimate, we give several estimates, we basically control who we're going to send them to. So if they had 3 estimates, but we haven't sold any of those estimates, we can make it so that it's specific to those people. Anybody who had an estimate within the last 10 days, 30 days, whatever time we choose, but if we haven't sold anything, then it doesn't go to them. If we sold an estimate of those 3, then they basically get excluded. So it kind of works out really, really well. There's a whole bunch of nice templates that they gave us that we did. This is the last one, but this is like for unsold estimates for water heaters. And basically, let me just go in and I'll edit and I'll show you guys what one looks like. Go in here and we preview it. So let's say we did a water heater estimate on here, or for tankless, right? We basically can give them 10% off. They can call or text us, and then it basically says, you recently booked us for an outside assessment of your plumbing needs. We're ready to provide the highest quality service and so on. So this gets emailed to them. They can text us or call us. And already, just from we did one little test, and we already got calls right away from it. So they work really, really well. So this is just something that's up and coming. It's something that the one important thing is what we did notice is a couple of the emails that we've sent out come back to us as wrong emails. So it's really important that you guys, when you guys are putting new customers in particular, if you guys are putting their email in, or if you go to a customer and there's no email in there, because not only do we obviously send our invoices and everything else, our estimates go to their emails. So if we have the wrong email in there, 1 letter off, 1 dot missing, whatever, it's going to come back as not valid. So now we can't send them invoices. Now we can't do anything. We're going to have to call them back up if we find that out. A lot of times we don't know when we send a blast out like that, we don't know which ones are wrong, and it's kind of difficult to try to search the system for the one that was wrong. So it's really important that you guys double check that, okay? For the safety meeting today, we're going back over power saw hazards. Okay, so before you operate a power saw, make sure you understand all of the hazards involved. We're going to go over a couple of those hazards. So the main hazard is the risk of either amputating 1 or more fingers or even a limb. You run the risk of getting a cut or laceration. And if any part of your body touches the saw blade, even if this blade isn't moving, obviously you can get cut or laceration. Saws make noise that'll harm your hearing. If you don't wear hearing protection, you can also suffer eye injuries from flying particles and respiratory problems from toxic dust. So especially if you're cutting through concrete or through metal, there's things that, obviously that even from wood you can get the particles that can fly into your eyes and so on. A lot of the wood is also treated with different chemicals that are known to, can harm you. So wear a wet respirator, wear eye protection. When carrying a saw or saw blade, you could also trip and fall onto the exposed blade or teeth of the saw. You can suffer electrical shock, or worse yet, electrocution, and if you mishandle if you mishandle electric saw. So gas-powered saws create carbon monoxide. If it builds up in the work area because of poor ventilation, obviously you can suffocate or get sick. Make sure you follow safe practices when you operate a powered saw. Read the manual before using it. Become familiar with the tool's safety features and manufacturer recommendations. Inspect power saws before you use them, and make sure that the blade is mounted correctly, securely, that you have safety guards and guides in place. Remove any damaged or faulty saws from service immediately. You know, and also if you guys see a cord that's frayed or, you know, coming loose, obviously you don't, that's a really easy way of getting electrocuted. Make sure you wear hearing protection, eye protection, safety glasses or goggles. In some cases you may need to wear a face shield. This prevents obviously sawdust, sparks, wooden splinters from getting into your eyes. Keep your fingers, hands, and legs and feet clear of the blades at all times. Think about where the blade is and where it will be. Be sure that your saw is double insulated or plugged into a grounded outlet. Keep the power cord up and out of the way so it's not a tripping hazard. And don't stand in water, obviously, when operating a power saw unless you want to get electrocuted. For any electric power tool, that applies. Never use your knee or foot as a resting place for the saw. I saw a video once, I'm not sure if you guys ever saw something like this. The guy was doing that, using his knee and cutting wood, went right through his knee. Because he hit a knot in the wood and it jumped, and he still was holding on to the deal, and then the second time as he was pushing forward, right into his knee. Blood just gushing everywhere. And that's something you don't want to ever do. But people do it because they're in a hurry. They're like, oh, let me just cut this piece of wood. You know, they're just, so it's crazy. So now the guy probably has a hard time walking, I'm sure. Don't cut against any part of your body. Be prepared for the saw to kick back. And never tie back or disable a guard or safety device. I think I remember seeing this video we saw. There was a safety video from one of the places I worked at, and they showed that as well. They showed a couple of different people getting injured, you know, those types of things. They're just crazy, like taking the guard off and, you know, getting injuries, different kinds of injuries. But follow LOTO procedures when you inspect, set up, service, or maintain a power saw to prevent it from starting up or moving unexpectedly. Keep sharp blades. Sharp tools are much safer to operate than dull ones. So obviously, if you don't know that, when you're using a dull blade, it's harder to cut. You're pushing harder. There's a lot of things that can happen with a dull blade. You have a sharp blade, you get a nice clean cut quickly. You're not struggling and having to put a lot of effort into it. Another safety reminder is long hair, long beards, jewelry, and loose clothing are entanglement hazards. So if you do have long hair, tie it back, or leave it at home. If I don't know how you can leave it at home, but tie it
My
back or leave it at
extensions
home.
are needed, okay?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so a couple of questions. We're just going to have here's this true or false question. The main hazard of using a handheld power saw is the risk of harming your hearing. True or false?
Yes.
Can be, yeah.
Okay. So that is a main hazard, yes. Which of the following is a safe workplace practice when operating a power saw? Using your knee or foot as a resting place for the saw, cutting against a part of your body, keeping the blade sharp, standing in water when operating the power saw.
I was hoping for that.
Keeping it sharp, right?
Yeah.
So keeping the blade sharp is a way of, you know, following a safe practice. Which of these hazards are expected of you when you operate a power saw? A, you can suffer respiratory problems with toxic dust. You can suffer electrocution if you mishandle electric saw. You can amputate one or more fingers or even a limb. All the above.
All of the above.
All the above. So gas-powered saws create carbon monoxide that could build up in your work area and cause you to suffocate if you have poor ventilation. True or false?
True.
What should you never tie back when operating a power saw? Any safety or guard device, long hair, a long beard, or your shoelaces.
Any safety or guard device.
Right. So you should tie back your hair if you have long hair, your long beard, and you should keep your shoelaces from being a problem, but you should never tie back any guard or safety device. All right. So I have all you guys sign that you were here for the safety meeting. We'll pass that on. If you don't have a pen, I have one here. Everybody got one?
Yeah.
All right. All right. The only other really thing that I want to talk about really briefly while we're getting ready to get out of here and get going for the day is invoices. Okay, so for invoices, guys, we're still missing some invoices, and that includes even an invoice for, if you have an invoice for an HPC or, you know, a water heater flush and you're getting the liquid flush that goes with it, or filters for an HPC, we still need purchase orders put in the system on that job. You're not gonna get charged for, you know, for HPC stuff, but it has to be, there has to be a purchase order and an invoice turned in still. If I don't have those turned in, now I'm searching and trying to make phone calls, and Tina and I are wasting our entire day trying to hunt down invoices, because we still have to match up, we're doing all the books, we still have to match up all the, invoices to the bank, and I can't do that when I don't get them, all right? So please, put them in right before you go in the door to the side of the office here, there's a, place to put them, or turn them in with your weekly, Monday morning timesheets and stuff like that. If you don't have a purchase order done that's already printed on there, please make sure that you put one in. And also, if you do have a purchase order on the invoice, please make sure the number's correct. It's the job number, basically. I don't care about the -001 or -002, but make sure it's correct. If you want to even put your name on there and or the name of the client, that helps too, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing things and taking all day trying to figure it out and where it goes. All right?
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions, comments? All right. So Sarah, we have a couple of new guys here in the back, new apprentices. You can meet them here. So that's it, guys. Let's get going, get to work, and I got paperwork to do for these guys and payroll. Please make sure you get all your payroll stuff turned in.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.